Hey everyone, my name is Sonia and welcome to the neighborhood. Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining me on today's podcast. Before I begin, I do want to give some updates for those of you who have been asking about uploading schedule and the interviews. They are happening and I am trying to upload once a week, but I do want my uploads to have quality. I don't want to just focus on quantity. So even though I am shooting for once a week, that may not always happen, and I do apologize, but I think it's more important to give you guys the actual information and facts over, people's opinions and misleading information. I think we have enough of that already, and I don't want to be another person giving you false information. With the interviews, it is a little tricky because with COVID happening, we do still have to social distance. It is still a problem. And so I can't necessarily have everyone coming in and out of the house. So I have found a loophole, which is having an interview over video and then just converting it to audio. So that's what I'm going to do. If anyone is interested, I am totally down. It's not going to be face-to-face. I just want to give you guys a chance to tell your stories, get your opinions out there, whatever the case may be. I definitely want to use this platform to give you guys a voice. So that is it for updates. I hope you guys stay tuned in. And on to today's topic. I really wanted to keep it very lighthearted today, just because I think for the first episode, I don't necessarily want to have such a heavy topic. I think the number one thing that I want to focus on today is self-improvement, self-awareness, whatever you want to call it. I think it's very important that we start with ourselves when we're looking for change. I think that's the only way that we'll actually get change is by a snowball effect, or at least that's what I'm hoping for. So I have, I believe, like 4 or 5 books that I have read over the years that I've really enjoyed, that have really changed and molded my perspectives on life, and hopefully it'll help you guys. So without further ado, let's get into the list. So the first book I want to talk about on the list is called The Alchemist. It's a very simple written book, but definitely don't underestimate it. It holds a lot of meaning and it carries a lot of lessons with it that I still think about till this day. I'll give you a brief summary on all these books just because I don't want to give any spoilers away. I definitely want to encourage you guys to read it. Basically, what The Alchemist is about is a shepherd boy named Santiago who travels from Spain, which is where he's from, to Egypt. I think the pyramids is where his voyage ends, and he's in search of a treasure buried near the pyramids. Along the way, he does meet like a gypsy woman, a man who calls himself a king, and an alchemist, and they all point Santiago to the direction of his quest, and no one knows what the treasure is, not even Santiago. And no one knows if he's even going to be able to get to said treasure because he has to travel through the desert at one point. But what starts out as a journey to basically find this treasure kind of turns into a journey where he kind of finds himself. And I know that sounds like really mystical and like, oh my gosh. But like I said, even though it's simply written, it does have a lot of meaning, especially because it is about personal growth and finding your purpose in life. I definitely read it at a time where I was very uncertain about everything in my life. I think I read it back in like 2018, and I don't know, I feel like this is one of those books that you just really have to read. A passage that really stuck with me to this day, and I have it written down because I want to remember it always, is you must understand that love never keeps a man from pursuing his personal legend. If he abandons that pursuit, it's because it wasn't true love. And I know with the pandemic and everything going on around us, You might not be sure of what you're doing. Maybe you feel stuck or you're anxious about your future. Whatever the case may be, I definitely recommend reading this book if you just need a little guidance. Definitely let me know if you pick this book up, if you see any good quotes that really stick with you. Most of all, let me know if this helps. I know I read it during a tough time in my life, and I know it changed my perspective, so hopefully it'll change yours. Now, during this hard time in my life, I read another book that really helped me out, and I especially think my essential workers would benefit reading this. I know it's been a very tough time, and boy, are we all mentally exhausted. And hopefully putting things into a different perspective can help you with any mental stress that you have in your job. I know it definitely helped me. This book is called The 4 Agreements. It's a very straightforward book, and basically all you need to do is make these 4 agreements with yourself and just watch your life change. And I mean this in the best way possible. The 4 agreements are: be impeccable with your word, don't take anything personally, don't make any assumptions, and always do your best. It does go more in depth as to what these agreements are and how to establish them in your life. The last one is the one I really want to focus on. This one definitely boosted my morale mentally. Once I started implementing it in my life, I definitely saw the difference in how I thought about things. So hear me out. The last rule, which is basically do your best, it doesn't necessarily mean that your best is going to be 100% all the time, or even at all. You know, sometimes if you're mad, if you're sad, if you're not feeling well, your best could be like 5%. That's all you could give, or 20%, whatever the case may be. It doesn't matter. That 5%, 20%, realizing that you gave it your all, that's all you had, that is something that you should be proud of. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think realizing that no matter what or how you're feeling, you're giving your best, you should be proud of that. So, especially for my essential workers, I know you guys are stressed so much. I get it. I'm there with you. But just know every single time you help a customer, you make a sale, you do anything, it doesn't matter what anyone says. If you feel in your heart of hearts that through it all you tried your best, then that's all that matters. Because listen, $1 is better than nothing, okay? You have a job that you should be thankful for, and I know right now y'all are just like, I'm ready to quit. I hear y'all, but you know, you should be thankful that through this all you still have money coming in. I know that that's something that I definitely had to check myself on because I was getting so frustrated. I know that everyone is testing your patience, from customers to your bosses, but just knowing that you gave it your all, that, you know, no matter what, even if you have no patience, but you got like a smidgen just to be like, no, ma'am, we don't have that. That's all. That is all. You gave it your best, and I applaud you for that, okay? Especially in these times where there's a lot of stress and frustration, both from workers and from customers and from bosses and everything going on. You know, I think whatever your best is, just be proud of that. Also, I do want to point out that another one that goes hand in hand with that would benefit you guys is don't take anything personal. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't think that it's towards you. You know, they're just angry, you're just angry. Just let it go, you know, just keep it moving. I really think that's important, especially at a time like this. And speaking of importance in a time like this, I really need you guys to hear me out on this next book suggestion. You know what? I'm just gonna read from the book and go from there. All right, I'm gonna spit some straight facts real quick. All right, if 100,000 readers aged around 25 decided never to buy plastic water bottles again, that would be around 1.14 billion plastic bottles saved and around 86,000 tons of carbon dioxide emissions stopped. That's the same amount of carbon dioxide generated from powering over 10,000 houses for a year. Let that bad boy sink in. All right, here's another quote from the book. Our oceans provide us with 70% of the oxygen we breathe. They regulate temperatures, and 3 billion of us rely on them as a primary food source. Okay, so you're asking yourself, why does this matter? Well, according to this book, ice is melting at unprecedented rates at the North and South Poles. Carbon dioxide is making our seawater acidic. Coral reefs are being bleached to death because water temperatures are rising. Entire ecosystems are being destroyed by overfishing. Oxygen-starved dead zones are appearing as a result of fertilizer and sewage running off the land into the seas, and on top of that, the oceans are being filled with plastic. Now, if this is all scary to you guys, good. That means you care, all right? So what is this book that I'm quoting? How can you help make it a better place? Well, this book is called How to Save the World for Free, all right? I know the facts are scary, but just know that there are solutions that you can do for free that'll help the earth kind of mend itself. And just to put it into perspective, just from this lockdown, because there were a few cars on the road and not a lot of people were going outside, it actually helped with healing the holes in the ozone layer. Granted, I'm sure there are going to be a lot of masks and gloves in the ocean, but this can be resolved as well because, I mean, you could use reusable masks, and as far as gloves, you can always use the gloves that you use for washing dishes, you know, the kind that Dexter's mom had in Dexter's laboratory, where, you know, she just had the iconic yellow gloves. Those are actually really easy to clean, and you don't have to worry about going out and buying a box of gloves every single time. You know, so little things like that can go a long way. And you can also contribute by the way you dress, the way you exercise, the way we vote. Okay, that's coming up. Very important. But little things like that definitely can help. For those of you wondering if this book is hard to read, I can attest that it is not hard at all. I think it's very simplified just so that we could all be on the same page. We could all just get this boat rolling. And you don't necessarily have to do every single thing that this book suggests. But what I am saying is if everyone listening in right now chose like one thing from this book to change in their life to better the environment, we can definitely make a dent. You know what I'm saying? I feel like we could definitely make at least a bit of a difference with the way things are going, because right now they're plummeting very rapidly. But again, I definitely recommend reading this book if you are interested in what's going on as well as how you can help. It's definitely a must read. Okay. Speaking of a little goes a long way, I do want to talk about a subject I rarely talk about, but I've learned to live by, and that's minimalism. Now, I loosely do consider myself a minimalist. I think I'm still working on it, but I am content on where I am at the moment. For those of you who haven't heard of minimalism, it's basically a lifestyle where less is more. You don't have to have a lot of stuff, but the things that you do have importance or meaning to you. And also, it helps with financial burdens that you may have. For example, like, you don't make dumb expenses on, say, food or like a dress that you don't need, or whatever the case may be. Like, that could go towards your debt that you have, because let's be real, one way or another, we all have debt of some sort for some reason. So it definitely helps with kind of being more mindful. Now, this doesn't mean throw everything away and just, you know, live with a bed, a desk, and a TV, and that'll be it. But I do think that we live in a world where we consume so much, and I think some of us do it in the hopes that it'll make us happy, because you do get that like dopamine rush where you feel happy because you got something new, and then once you get it, you're just like, okay, so what else can I buy? And so it definitely gets you thinking. I know it definitely got me thinking about the things that I was spending money on. And to this day, I still think about the things I'm spending money on. I still think, am I going to like it in like 2-3 days? Am I going to leave it? So I'm rambling on at this point. So I'm just going to tell you the book title. It's called Everything That Remains. And it's actually a memoir written by a man, Josh Milburn, who was in a documentary that was on Netflix. I don't know if you guys just browse Netflix documentaries. I do it from one time to another, and that's how I found said book, because he read it in the documentary. I don't think it's on Netflix anymore, but any of you guys interested in watching the documentary who don't necessarily want to read the book, it's called Minimalism, a documentary on important things. The book is kind of like the documentary. So if you're not big on reading, definitely check out the documentary. But basically, the book is about Joshua Milburn's journey to minimalism. I think he lost his mom and he got a divorce in the same month. And then on top of that, he was in a lot of debt, even though he was earning up to 6 figures. Which I think is crazy, because usually when I think of someone making 6 figures, I think they're like pretty solid. Like there's no way that you could be in debt or that you're like, you owe money. Like if I had a 6-figure income, there's no way that I would have debt. I would have already paid off my student loans and my car loan. Like that would have been the very first thing I would have paid off for sure. But I think what got me to read his book was at one point in the documentary, he reads a part of his book, which goes, "But even while Rome is burning, there's somehow time for shopping at IKEA. Social imperatives are a merciless bitch. Everyone is attempting to buy what no one can sell. See, when I moved out of the house earlier this week, trawling my many personal belongings in large bins and boxes and 50-gallon garbage bags, my first inclination was, of course, to purchase the things I still needed for my new place. The basics: food, hygiene products, a shower curtain, towels, a bed, and, I need a couch and a matching leather chair, and a love seat, and a lamp, and a desk chair, and another lamp for over there, and don't forget the sideboard that matches the desk, and a dresser for the bedroom, and I need a coffee table, and a couple end tables, and a TV stand for the TV I still need to buy. And don't these look nice? What do you call them? Throat pillows? Oh, throw pillows. Well, that makes more sense. And now that I think about it, I'm going to want my apartment to be my style. My own motif. So I need certain decoratives to spruce up my decor. But wait, what is my style exactly? And do these stainless steel picture frames embody the particular style? Does this replica Matisse sketch accurately capture my edgy but professional vibe? Exactly how edgy am I? What espresso maker defines me as a man? Does the fact that I'm even asking these questions mean I lack the dangling brass pendulum that'd make me a man's man? How many plates, cups, bowls, spoons should a man own? I guess I need a dining room table too, right? And a rug for the entryway, and bathroom rugs, bath mats, and what about that one thing? That thing that's like a rug but longer? Yeah, a runner. I need one of those. And I'm also going to need, I remember just going, oh my gosh, that's definitely me. I don't even need to get these things, but I do because that's what you're supposed to do, right? Like I used to buy a new phone, or I would try to buy a new phone like every year because that's what you're supposed to do. You're just supposed to be buying new things all the time. Now, I know some of you are probably thinking, Sonia, why are you telling me this? I don't want to throw away all my things and be a minimalist. I don't want to make you change your lifestyle, but I do want to challenge you to reevaluate it. Right now, the US is going through some hard financial times. Some of you are working, and there are still some of you that are unemployed. Most of us, though, aren't making a lot of money due to some restrictions implemented on restaurants, for example. Like, I was thinking about this the other day. Servers rely on tips. If people are opting to order their food for takeout instead of dining in, the waiters don't get those tips because there's no tips to make. Not to mention, some places don't even offer an option to dine in. Some places are still takeout or delivery only. With the help of this book, I realized how much I was spending on these things and on these things I don't need, but still got because I had money to buy it. I used to buy books I had no interest in reading, but the cover looked nice, so I bought it anyways. With everything happening right now, I know we're being encouraged to spend money, but my question for you is, do you really need it? Most importantly, can you afford it? That is the big question. So minimalism isn't for everyone, and ultimately, it's just about keeping the important things around you. You don't have to fit your whole life in a backpack, but do you really need those pair of shoes or handbags when in reality you stick to the same 2 or 3 pairs? Again, this is just something to think about. Now, the last book that I want to mention is one of my favorite books. It's a young adult book, but it is a wonderful book to read even if you're an adult. The Hate U Give is the last book I want to recommend. It is phenomenal, okay? The best part is it's also a movie now, so if you're not really into reading, but you're still interested, I highly recommend watching the movie. Now, I know that the movies are never as good as the books, but it's still just as powerful. So let me just give you the actual description. Again, I don't want to give too much away, especially with this book. I really want to encourage everyone to read it for themselves, especially for those of you who want to better understand the Black Lives Matter movement. So here's the description. 16-year-old Star Carter moves between 2 worlds, the poor neighborhood where she lives and the fancy suburban prep school she attends. The uneasy balance between these worlds is shattered when Star witnesses the fatal shooting of her childhood best friend, Khalil, at the hands of a police officer. Khalil was unarmed. Soon afterward, his death is national headline. Some are calling him a thug, maybe even a drug dealer and a gangbanger. Protesters are taking to the streets in Khalil's name. Some cops and the local drug lord try to intimidate Star and her family. What everyone wants to know is what really went down that night. And the only person alive who can answer that is Star. But what Star does or does not say could upend her community. It could also endanger her life. Again, I highly encourage anyone trying to understand the Black Lives Matter movement and the importance it has to everyone to read this book. All right, even if you already support the movement, read this book. This book helped me find my voice. Before, I used to keep to myself, and I would always be worried about sharing my opinions with the world. I didn't want to be seen as problematic or anything, especially being first-generation Mexican. I didn't want to hear any racial comments from those that didn't agree with my opinions. Now I know no matter what, my voice matters, my experience matters, I matter. For those reasons, I want people to understand Black Lives Matter. And for those of you saying that all lives matter, I get it, you're correct. They do. But they can't matter until Black Lives Matter. That statement isn't correct until Black Lives Matter. And if you're having trouble understanding that, then that's okay. Just repeat that last sentence I said and read the book or watch the movie. But either way, I definitely recommend anyone trying to understand it, anyone that's having a hard time understanding this movement or just not in the position to know what this movement is about, whatever the case may be, like whatever reason it is that, you're not behind the cause, or even if you are behind the cause and you don't have a voice yet, like you're still just in the sidelines and you're feeling frustrated, definitely read this book, watch the movie, and it'll definitely empower you to make a change in the world. I know it definitely did it for me. Personally, if you haven't noticed, I genuinely am always looking for ways to improve my life. I was always so unhappy when I was younger, and I wanted to change that. It started with self-help books, and it expanded from there. Eventually, my mindset went from I'm not the greatest person to I'm a great person, but how can I be a better person? That one change in the way I spoke launched into pursuing different ideologies and different forms of living. All these books help me understand areas that I lacked in my life, as far as knowledge went. And it helped me fill in those gaps. And I know I'm not done yet because I still have a lot to learn about myself. But I hope that this inspired you to be the best possible version of yourself. Let me know if you read any of these books. Also, leave a comment. Let me know about some of the books that have changed your life. Before I end today's podcast, I do want to reach out to everyone listening in. And I don't know if you guys know this or not, but the app or the website that I launched these podcasts on, anchor.fm, if you go to my page, which is anchor.fm/neighborhood, there is a button where you can leave a voice message, and I think it can record up to a minute. If you guys have any questions, concerns, ideas, anything like that, you can always leave me a voice message there, as well as my social media, my Instagram, and my email for this podcast will be linked in the description. And just a reminder, if you guys do want to read these books, it will also be in the descriptions and all over my social media, so you guys have no excuse to not read these books, especially the last one. I will always say the last one, The Hate U Give, Angie Thomas. Read it, live it, love it. All right. So with that being said, thank you again for joining me. I hope to see you around the neighborhood.